Hey, welcome back into Fox Weather. Taking a look here, Southern California, they're faced with some potent mix of weather threats coming up. Strong damaging winds expected over the next couple of days, all coming on the heels of that widespread soaking rain and flooding rain that we experience. Joining us now is Dr. Ariel Cohen with the National Weather Service in Los Angeles. Doctor, I want to thank you for joining us here, being with us tonight. Walk us through what folks can expect and what they're dealing with, because we now have a new challenge on our hands, right? After all of that rain, we have a couple of high wind watches that are in place. Where do you think some of these stronger winds are going to set up, and what do you think some of the bigger concerns can be?
Well, we're looking at the Santa Ana wind-prone areas of Los Angeles, Ventura County, other portions of the coastal ranges, and adjacent foothills of Southern California to be especially susceptible to the strong northeast to east-northeast winds over the next few days. Some of these winds could be potentially damaging, with gusts in the higher terrain and some of the more favored areas for strong Santa Ana winds over 60 miles per hour. Now, we've seen in many areas so far for the water year that we define as starting in October, as 70% or more of the precipitation for the entire year just in the past few months. We've had record breaking levels of precipitation that have caused extensive flooding. And so what that's done is it's made the root systems for trees and other structures that are embedded within the ground particularly loose and unstable, and it's not going to take a whole lot of wind for many trees, power lines, and other structures to come down. And that's a potentially dangerous combination of parameters coming together, where there's a lot more susceptibility to trees and structures coming down when the winds come up. And so even if we're not getting much in the way of rain, those strong winds could pose a significant threat to life and property in areas where those objects are coming down. So just encourage everyone to, don't park under trees. If when the winds are at their peak, you're staying indoors, that would be the best scenario, so that you are most likely to be away from any falling objects.
It's very smart. I mean, you would think to yourself, okay, it's not going to rain, so it's not that bad. But this could be an equally challenging forecast in itself for folks who maybe don't know that the ground is overly saturated, and now you have this big wind event coming through. You kind of talked about some of those higher wind gusts. We could see wind gusts up to 70, if not 80 miles per hour. What does that look like for an area like, the mountainous terrain or maybe the desert terrain a little farther inland?
It certainly means that we could be having trees coming down with those types of winds. While we're not looking at anything that was nearly as extreme as we experienced last year, and certainly this year, the overall fuel conditions are not going to be conducive for the spread of wildfires at all. We still could expect impacts in areas of the higher terrain, the mountains, San Gabriel Mountains, the foothills as well, areas through the San Fernando Valley, through the Hollywood Hills, Burbank area, southward through the Santa Monica Mountains and other portions of Ventura and Los Angeles counties and surrounding areas, where, again, those gusts could be bringing some of the trees, power lines, and other structures down, especially given the weakened root systems from the excessive rain. We're going to be looking at the effects of this very large amount of rain that we've experienced to last for quite a while, dampening the fire weather risk, but also creating a favorability for structures to come down in the winds, and also the potential for landslides and other rock slides can continue even with no rain weeks after the cessation of the heavy rain.
You mentioned it briefly in that answer. The fact that we are dealing with such a different scenario this go round, this January, as opposed to last go round. So I kind of want to hint to that or talk about that, right? The wildfires that we saw in the LA area last year. Talk about the difference, maybe even living in the area, of what you're feeling this week with the winds and how they compare to the winds that were felt, say, last year, the Santa Ana wind event.
Well, I can say, just hiking in the local area in the past couple of days with a close friend of mine, I mean, we saw just widespread green conditions everywhere, which is symbolic of the very high fuel moistures that are in place from all the rain. I mean, significant mud, deep mud in many areas as well, where water is being retained. And therefore, if any fires start, it will be next to impossible for there to be any rapid spread or large fire growth. Now, at the same time, we experienced significant flooding over the past a couple of weeks with really a historic and unfortunately a deadly flooding event that affected our area over the Christmas holiday time period with more damaging floods around New Year's. And so there were certainly very severe impacts in going to this place where we have much lesser amounts of fire weather potential. We've exchanged that, though, with a much greater flooding risk that was very damaging and even catastrophic in many areas, as we have been predicting well in advance. And so while the fire weather risk is more limited, the winds will be coming with a potential for damage. So the main message is to be vigilant. I know we've had a lot of alerts coming. We've had some of the most catastrophic weather in Los Angeles area going back in the past few years than we've ever seen in our historical weather records. So it's come with a lot of alerts, but that vigilance is necessary. Paying attention is necessary to protect your life and those of your loved ones.
I think you make some very valid points there, and I'm glad that this January, while we did have a flood risk in place, it looks a lot different than, say, last January looked. I want to thank you for your updates here and all of your insight and what we're expecting over the next couple of days. That's meteorologist in charge with the National Weather Service in Los Angeles, Dr. Ariel Cohen. Thanks again and have a great night.
Thanks for having me. Take care.